All right, what's going on, guys? Graham Gius and Matthews here with FanSided Daily DDT.com, and coming up this Sunday, August 14th, the latest episode of A&E's WWE biography Legends. We got on D-Generation X, obviously Triple H, Shawn Michaels. We're talking one half of them here today, the Heartbreak Kid himself, WWE Hall of Famer, Shawn Michaels. Shawn, how's it going, man?
It's going very well, thank you.
Absolutely. Like I just said before we got going here, I just spoke to you last week with the NFT thing. You got this documentary coming up on Sunday on DX. They're keeping you busy. It's funny.
Yeah, again, as I said to you, this is retirement. Clearly I can't do this right. and so, look, I can think of worse things, again, to be where I'm at right now. I'm very thankful to the WWE. And, of course, look, it doesn't happen without people wanting to see it, right? And I guess the one good thing about the car wreck of a life I lived is that it resonates, 35 years later.
Exactly. No, it's awesome, man. It's all good stuff, which is the good thing, as you mentioned. We got this coming up on Sunday, the NFT stuff, as I mentioned. Obviously, NXT are involved in it every single week. But with this documentary coming up on Sunday, we've had this great series of biography documentaries over on A&E. The Undertaker this season, Goldberg. We had, several people in the last couple of weeks, Lex Luger, among others. And yours is coming up on Sunday alongside Triple H, like I said, on the entirety of DX. We've had a lot of DX documentaries over the years. What do you think, if you've seen any of it, or just for filming for it, what you think stands this one out, just kind of makes it stand out from some of the other DX docs we've gone over the years?
Yeah, I think this one, in a word, raw. I think this one really is visceral in kind of the delivery of a lot of what went on in the real lives of a lot of the guys. Look, this was, a group of guys and gal that had an absolute blast, genuine, sincere blast in the ring with one another. But outside of the ring, again, it was rough and tough in a lot of different ways. And I know there are times that sometimes Hunter can get singled out as, well, he was the one with the sensible one. Again, there was, at the beginning, very rough for him. And again, to say that, again, where his life is at now is any cakewalk is, again, that just isn't the case. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety and, and a lot of hurt feelings and resentment and stuff like that he has to deal with as well. And so I think that's the thing that it makes this different, is that it's certainly not a fluff and puff piece.
Yeah, that's the best part about it. All these documentaries we've gotten so far are raw, as you mentioned, and we're going to be getting that on Sunday with this as well. And obviously, you've looked back at the history of DX and other pieces and documentaries over the years, and you did the same thing for this one. Looking back on it now, almost 25 years later, do you look back at it like, obviously those were fun times? Are there any segments and stuff that you guys did that you look back on and like, maybe I wish I did that differently, or like, I'm not so proud of that now? Like, how do you look back on that stuff 25 years later at this point in your life?
Well, I'll say this again, as I mentioned a lot of times. Sure, I think there are a couple things that you say that you would love to have, not said and I don't know, hurt people. Hurt people, to be perfectly honest. But I always say, but to change any of that would keep me from being where I'm at today. And I wouldn't change where I'm at today for anything in the world. And again, that goes for, my relationship with so many of these people now, is actually better. And again, it goes from even some of the people that I offended. I'm just using Bret Hart as an example. I wouldn't change where he and I are at now for anything in the world. And I don't know if we'd have gotten there had we not had our struggles with one another. So, and certainly from us as a group, D-Generation X, this was, as you'll see in the documentary, a bunch of guys. Look, there are a lot of people that say, like, had struggles, had demons. You're talking about a group of guys that'll, that, again, will be, a little more specific. So it's different on that level. But again, when it comes to, the camaraderie, the sense of enjoyment and also, just adulation that we had with one another and, excitement and joy that we had in the ring with one another, you got to wonder if would we have pulled it all off without some of this other side? We were so crazy, so reckless, and you have to kind of, you're not surprised by the away from the ring antics, and it's hard to wonder if you'd have gotten one without the other.
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned, everything you guys did served a purpose. Everything happened for a reason, and it led to where you guys are today as one of the greatest groups in WWE history, if not the greatest group in wrestling history. And obviously, it landed you guys in the Hall of Fame a few years ago as well. Do you think, Shawn, that this is something that could work today? I mean, maybe not in the exact form that DX was 25 years ago, but it's a very different time in wrestling, a very exciting time in wrestling, which is great. But with a group like this and just some of the stuff you guys did and said and whatever, like you just talked about a minute ago, do you think something like DX would work in 2022 to a certain degree, or is it just a case of it being the time and the place for it back in 1997, 1998?
Well, look, I certainly think the time and place is spot on for back then. Look, there's so much. Look, we couldn't do a lot of what we did back then. It is not, again, it was raw. It was rough. Some of it, again, I can see it now. Is that, and look, I sometimes wonder, like, oh, geez, Shawn, you're getting old and soft. Well, look, some of it is, again, just not wanting to be that cruel, honestly. So I don't know. Certainly you could have a group. I think it could be as big, but I think the rebellion would have to take a different form, and I don't know what that is. I do think that that's one of the things I enjoy about being where I'm at in the business right now and being here in NXT, which is trying to find what is that next level of pushing that envelope, but doing it in a way that's, I don't know, I guess socially kind of acceptable. You know what I mean? Because it is. I do want to look. We did encourage a lot of bad stuff, right? And the one thing I do sort of always say is that ours was a bit more sophomoric. Ours was not something that was life-changing or life-ruining. It was just kids getting detention, you know what I mean, by cross-chopping their teachers and stuff like that. I think that's harmless, but again, that bar for harmless has been higher quite a bit these days. So the $1 million question is, what is that range at which you can push that envelope? But again, that's what I love about the creative line of this work, which is trying to figure out what that next level is.
Yeah, no, you talk about it right there, like what that line is that people can cross, and even nowadays, and it's constantly changing, so it's hard to determine. But it's funny, again, looking back 25 years ago, kind of like the genesis of D-Generation X, and you mentioned where you and Hunter are now, effectively running the company, so to speak, with you and NXT, him on the main roster, running creative things. I mean, could you ever imagine a situation 25 years ago when you guys start doing DX that you would be where you are today in your respective positions? And it's kind of fitting and ironic in a way, considering the anti-authority nature of the group back in 97.
No way. Of course, there's no way, nor would anyone else. And if they did, they go like, oh my goodness, that's the business is dead. So, but look, I will say this. We were pushing for that change in 1995. We recognized, I don't know, people took it as disrespect and not believing and loving the business, and that wasn't it at all. It was actually what I think people recognize now as being so in love with it. We want it to grow and prosper, but we feel like, that there's different ways to go about it. Again, there's no one part of our fan base that is 100% right all the time. It's, we have so much diversity in our fans that, again, I think you need to find a balance. And I think that's something that certainly what Hunter and I hope to find and to bring, and that we always felt like we brought to NXT, which is a good balance of entertainment, fun, serious, good wrestling, serious storylines, personal issues, but again, also some lighthearted stuff and entertainment. And so, again, that's what we're talking about. So I don't think anybody's 100% right or 100% wrong. The key to everything in life and in this business is trying to strike that perfect balance. And again, I think that's what I try to do here, and I know he's going to try to do on the main roster.
Yeah, I guess you answered my next question right there as far as the vision. I mean, as far as you go with NXT and him with the main roster and whatnot. You talked a little bit about it last week when we spoke about the NFT thing as far as the vision going forward for NXT. And it was such an abrupt change, obviously, when Hunter got sick late last year, had to take time off, you kind of fulfilling that role. You mentioned it right there, but is that sort of like the vision that you're looking for currently with NXT 2.0, that hopefully with Triple H in charge now of Raw and SmackDown, that we're going to get that more seamless transition, kind of that, I don't know what the word would be. That synergy, I guess, is the right word that I'm looking for between the main roster and NXT and that vision that you guys are trying to accomplish for the product.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Look, there are some things that, look, from a publicly traded business to IPs to things of that nature, things that are out of the creative control, and that we sort of have to do as a company. We still have to dot those I's and cross those T's. But to your point, again, we feel like, someone who is someone in NXT can now move up to the main roster, be recognized as the same person, talked about coming from NXT, and perhaps blending in immediately into a storyline with someone who was previously in NXT. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yes, I absolutely think that communication is clearly going to be there. Those transitions should be more seamless and more comfortable. And again, also the readiness of talent going up. There won't, and look, sometimes you can't help emergencies or last minute things. An injury happens. We need someone like this. Well, they're not quite ready. I got to have them now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. But here are the limitations. Don't take them outside of this comfort zone. There's just going to be more openness, more communication, and more understanding of that communication. So I'm encouraged, and I think the talent as well on both sides are encouraged by that, because I think they know that the both of us, we're now talking about darn near everybody up there are people that were with him in NXT at one time or another. And everybody, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Half of them were with me, and the next half are certainly all going to be with me. And so, again, there's going to be a lot better and more comfort zone that might not have been there in the past, and it's going to feel a bit more comfortable, a bit more natural in that transition state.
Yeah, which is great to see, and I think it's pretty apparent, too, not just from what you said, but from what a lot of other people have said who are either on the main roster now, no longer with the company, whatever. Whenever they speak about their time in NXT, Shawn, they always praise you and Hunter as far as the relationship that they had with you guys and the vision you had for their character, the brand, whatever. Is that something that you strive to have with the talent as far as that open communication? Because there's been a lot of people that talk about Dexter before he just came back on Raw. We spoke on Friday, and since we last spoke on Friday, Karrion came back, we see Dexter back, and he spoke recently about how you kind of keep in communication with him, even prior to when he returned to WWE. Is that something that's important to you? Because if so, it's a great attribute to have.
It absolutely is. Again, I tell him, I give darn near every person that walks into this building my number, and I tell him it's never going to change. And I don't want to just... Because, like, Hunter and I believe this, and it's something he started here, a long time ago, and certainly something that I learned in 2002. Look, everything essentially is going to come down to relationship and trust. You know what I mean? And we want the talent to know that we believe in them, and again, and that we genuinely do care. I mean, I don't know if it's success. I was just talking about it, this morning with a meeting with my creative group, which is, again, every person that walks into this building, we have to understand it's a privilege for us. They're putting their life, their aspirations in our hands, and we have to honor that and take it seriously, especially now with the recruiting that we do now. Darn near everybody that walks into this place got a college degree in something, but they're choosing to put that aside right now to pursue something else. And it is up to us to really take that seriously and do everything we can. You can't take a day off. And I don't, it was something, again, I felt like I was, railing against them. And I didn't mean to be there, but I'm just so passionate about it. I just don't understand doing this job if you're not going to try to do it to the best of your ability. I don't understand not wanting to be the best at something. And so whether it's coaching, whether it's producing, whether it's writing, again, wanting, part of you reflected in that and it being looked at as positive or being done well. And so, anyway, I'm once again getting on my soapbox, and I apologize. So I'm just saying this. I know Hunter and I definitely have that in common. We cared so much about it when we were doing it. When we wanted that change back in 1995, it wasn't because we didn't respect the business. It was quite the opposite. We loved it, but we just saw that it was time to change and needed to change, and it needs to grow and evolve with the times. No generation is the same as the last. And again, I love the way it was in my day, but I don't think that's something we should do again, because it's been done and they've seen it. This business is supposed to evolve. The talent's supposed to get better. They're supposed to get faster, and they're supposed to look at it differently. And I don't think that should be, it should be, blown off as not important. I think you need to hear them out and then strike an agreement, collaborate and find a middle ground that you can both live with. And that's what we're looking forward to doing here in the very near future.
Fantastic. No, it's fascinating to hear, Shawn. You guys have an amazing vision. We're seeing that with NXT. We're going to see it on Sunday with this A&E doc on D-Generation X. Last quick question for you. Looking at the modern roster, what we got right now, NXT main roster, maybe even people that aren't here, if you were to make a modern DX, who do you think would be a good fit for it that comes to the top of your head?
Gosh, I don't. Right now, honestly, the first one that pops off in my head is somebody like a Grayson Waller. Mm-hmm. From an NXT standpoint, I like Grayson. I think he's got just a ton of personality. Look, Carmelo Hayes a little bit too, but he's almost too cool for DX. I'm not sure. He's a mature young man for his age. Grayson's a little bit, Grayson likes to have a little bit more fun and is a little bit more loose. So the first one that jumps off at the top of my head is Grayson Waller.
Great fit. Great answer, Shawn. Thanks a lot for the time, man. I appreciate it. Sorry for the terrible service, but it was awesome chatting with you. Like I said, A&E doc coming up on Sunday on Biography on D-Generation X, airing this Sunday, August 14th, 8 p.m. on A&E. Shawn, this has been great. Such a pleasure to chat with you within 2 times of the same week. I'm sure we'll talk again at some point down the road.
Thanks, man. Thank you again. Thanks so much for helping us out on both of these things.